Do you think the predator is the ultimate hunter in cinema? Think again. There exists a being who, in a direct confrontation, can dominate a yautja with their bare hands, treating plasma shots as mere annoyances. No, I'm not talking about a xenomorph. I'm talking about the true titans behind the alien universe. The engineers. They're not just our creators, they're the real top of the cosmic food chain. An absurdly powerful force that makes the predator look like prey. I want you to comment now. Who would win this fight? Watch until the end and prepare to perhaps change your mind, because we're going to reveal just how monstrous the strength of a god is. This divine strength belongs to a race that, for a long time, has been in the shadows, overshadowed by another iconic creature. Honestly, when we think of alien, the first thing that comes to mind are the Xenomorphs, right? Those sinister creatures, perfect in their brutality. But what if I told you that behind this cosmic food chain, there's an even more fascinating and, perhaps, much more terrifying race? I'm talking about the engineers. Those pale, imposing beings that were introduced to us in Prometheus's, and that, honestly, completely changed my perspective. They're not just another alien species. They're the key to understanding the origin of everything, including our own. And, in my opinion, the way Ridley Scott presented this narrative bombshell is simply incredible. It's as if he was saying, "You thought you knew what fear was? Think again." For a long time, the figure of the space jockey in Alien was a mystery that haunted us. Who was that fossilized giant in the seat of a strange ship, with a chest burst open? The answer, or at least part of it, came with the engineers. They are the architects, the seeders of life, but also the destroyers. And the most bizarre thing is that the more we learn about them, the more questions arise. Are they immortal? What is the true extent of their powers? And why, after all, do they seem to have such a deep grudge against humanity, their own creation? This video is a journey to unravel these secrets, exploring every facet of these beings, from their complex biology to their most extraordinary feats. I promise I'll do this in a way that you won't want to blink. Let's demystify these gods and understand what really makes them such an enigmatic and, yes, sinisterly powerful force in the alien universe. Honestly, the first time I saw an engineer up close in Prometheus, I thought, what the heck is this creature? They're imposing, aren't they? That pale, almost translucent skin, which allows you to see the veins underneath, is creepy. And the height? There are records that they can be between 7 feet 10 inches and 15 feet tall, with fossil evidence suggesting up to 15 feet. That's insane. Imagine a being almost 15 feet tall staring you down. The very idea gives you chills. But what really intrigues me is the biology behind this imposing presence. They have a facial structure, with a high nasal bridge, black eyes with cross-shaped pupils, and elevated eyebrows. But the most curious thing is the similarity to humans. Their organization of muscles and organs is virtually identical to ours. This is a crucial point, because if the sacrificial engineer from Prometheus really seeded life on Earth with his DNA, as the theory suggests, then this similarity makes perfect sense. It's as if we were a miniature and less potent version of them. Honestly, I find this idea that we are made in their image and likeness, literally, something that makes you question everything. Now, let's dive a little deeper. If their anatomy is so similar to ours, how do they manage to be so incredibly strong and resilient? An engineer threw David around like he was a rag doll and faced a giant trilobite. That's not normal for a being with our biology. It's known that they use a kind of biomechanical armor or parasuit that increases their durability and strength. This is interesting, because it suggests that part of their physical capability isn't inherent, but technological. But even without the armor, they're absurdly strong. I remember a scene in the Predator, Fire and Stone comics, where an engineer dominates a predator in hand-to-hand combat, even ignoring plasma shots. That's next level. My theory is that, despite the genetic similarity, the muscle and bone density of engineers must be far superior to ours. Think of a gorilla, for example. They have a much denser and more efficient muscle structure than humans, which gives them disproportionate strength for their size. Maybe engineers have a super-optimized version of this. Their tissues might be composed of more compact and resistant muscle fibers, and their bones, perhaps, with a much higher bone mineral density, making them almost indestructible to impacts that would be fatal to us. That's creepy, but it makes sense to explain the resistance to shots and the ability to throw beings like David. Another point to consider is metabolism. If they're so big and strong, they need a gigantic energy source. Perhaps their digestive and circulatory systems are incredibly efficient at converting nutrients into energy. Or maybe they have a slower metabolism, which gives them an absurd longevity. It's been suggested that, under normal conditions, they could live for 150 years. But, honestly, for a race that seeds life on planets and travels among the stars, 150 years seems short. I think their longevity could be much greater, perhaps even immortality in a practical sense, with advanced cellular regeneration capabilities or even the ability to transfer their consciousness to new bodies, as some science fiction theories suggest. That's wild, but with their technology, who knows? And the translucent skin? Besides being visually striking, it may have a biological function. Perhaps it allows greater absorption of sunlight or some other form of energy. Or maybe it's an indicator of a highly efficient circulatory system, with blood vessels closer to the surface for heat dissipation or oxygenation. It's as if their body were a machine perfectly adapted for life in extreme environments and for accomplishing feats that are impossible for us. The anatomy of engineers isn't just a matter of size, it's a masterpiece of biological engineering, a testimony to their ability to manipulate life at a fundamental level. And that, my friends, is spine-chilling. Honestly, their complexity is fascinating. Now, let's talk about something that leaves me totally intrigued: the powers of the engineers. I'm not just talking about super strength, but the ability to manipulate life itself. The black goo, or Agent A3959X9115, is a virulent pathogen that is, at the same time, creator and destroyer of life. That's creepy. Think about it. They created a substance that can disintegrate a living being down to the DNA level, or transform it into a horrifying monster, or even seed life on a planet. This isn't just advanced technology, it's almost biological magic. How does this black goo work? One theory suggests it contains genetic material from millions of organisms. My hypothesis is that this substance is a kind of biological nanotechnology, where genetically modified microorganisms, or even viruses and bacteria with genetic engineering capabilities, are released into the environment. When the sacrificial engineer consumes it, these biological nanorobots act on his body, deconstructing it and releasing his DNA to merge with the environment, creating new life forms. It's as if the engineer's body became a catalyst for accelerated evolution. That's bizarre, but scientifically, we can imagine something similar to CRISPR, but on a cosmic scale, and with a control that we don't even dream of having. The ability to direct mutation and evolution in real time is a power that leaves us in a very inferior position, honestly. But why does the black goo affect engineers differently? An interesting hypothesis is the emotional state of the engineer. The sacrificial one felt honored, while the natives of Planet 4 felt dread. This is a brilliant insight. If the black goo is a form of biological nanotechnology, it's possible that it's sensitive to biochemical signals from the host, such as stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, or well-being hormones, serotonin, dopamine. A body in a state of panic would release a cascade of substances that could activate a destruction mode in the black goo, pulverizing the individual. A body in a state of calm and acceptance could activate a creation mode, transforming the engineer into a seeder of life. This is an analysis that goes beyond what we see on the screen and, in my opinion, makes everything even more intriguing. It's as if their biology itself were connected to their psyche in a way that we can't fully understand. Besides genetic engineering, engineers demonstrate other impressive abilities, such as the use of holograms, terraforming, and the acceleration of evolution. Terraforming, for example, is the ability to transform an inhospitable planet into a habitable environment. This requires an absurd mastery of geology, climatology, and biology. They can manipulate the atmosphere, soil composition, and even the flora and fauna of a planet to create a functional ecosystem. This is a power that makes us look like amateurs, truly. And the acceleration of evolution? This is the pinnacle of biological manipulation. They don't just create life, they guide it at a pace that would take millions of years in nature. It's as if they had a fast-forward button for evolution. And their strength? We've already talked a bit about this in anatomy, but it's worth reinforcing. The ability to throw a human like David meters away, or to resist shots, suggests a strength that far exceeds ours. If compared to human strength, an adult engineer could have a lifting strength of several tons, perhaps the equivalent of a small crane. And speed? Although not explicitly shown, the agility demonstrated in combat, even with their size, indicates a speed of reaction and movement that would surpass that of an Olympic athlete. That's creepy, because they're not just big, they're fast and lethal. It's like a war tank with the agility of a ninja. Bizarre, but it's their reality. Another point that makes me think is the supposed immortality. It's been said that they could live for 150 years, but I honestly think that's way underestimating. A race so advanced, with mastery of genetic engineering, would probably have means to extend life indefinitely, perhaps through advanced cellular regeneration, or even the ability to transfer their consciousness to new bodies, as I mentioned before. This is a concept that appears in various works of science fiction, and would make perfect sense for a race that sees itself as gods. If they can create life, why couldn't they preserve their own forever? Immortality, for them, may not be an absence of death, but rather the ability to transcend physical form, making them truly eternal. That's spine-chilling, isn't it? Beyond all the brute force and biological manipulation, what really fascinates me about engineers is their mental and technical capacity. Honestly, their intelligence must be something that transcends our comprehension. Think of everything they've built. Spaceships that travel through galaxies, terraforming technology, and the black goo itself. This isn't the work of someone who thinks small. It's spine-chilling just to imagine the level of knowledge they possess in physics, chemistry, biology, engineering, and of course, genetics. They are masters in genetic engineering, as we've already addressed. But this goes beyond creating monsters or seeding life. They seem to have such precise control over DNA that they can shape the evolution of entire species. This suggests a deep understanding of the molecular mechanisms of life, something that our science is still struggling to understand. It's as if they had an instruction manual for life, and we barely know how to read the preface. That's creepy, because it puts us in a position of total intellectual inferiority. Honestly, another impressive technical capability is space navigation. Their ships, like the Derelict and the Juggernaut, are incredibly advanced. They're not just vehicles, they're biological laboratories, weapon arsenals, and, in some cases, even tombs. The way they pilot them, with that interface that merges with the pilot, is bizarre. This suggests a direct neural connection with technology, something that we, with our keyboards and screens, are light years away from. It's as if the ship were an extension of the engineer's own body, responding to his thoughts. That's next level, truly. And communication? Although we haven't seen much of their verbal interaction, there's evidence of hieroglyphs and decodings of names like Ons and Malik. This indicates a complex and perhaps even universal language capable of being understood by different species. The ability to create and maintain such an advanced civilization for millennia, traveling through galaxies and interacting with other life forms, requires a level of social organization and communication that is, in my opinion, impressive. They're not just powerful beings, they're a highly structured and technologically superior society. Moreover, the way they use technology for biological warfare purposes is something that makes me think. The black goo isn't just a creation tool, it's a weapon of mass destruction. The ability to develop and deploy such a devastating pathogen, which can annihilate an entire population in a matter of minutes, demonstrates a dark side of their intelligence. They're not just scientists, they're military strategists, capable of using biological knowledge to dominate and destroy. That's sinister and makes us question the ethics behind so much power. It's as if they had the power of a god, but the morality of a demon in some aspects. And what about their long-term planning capability? The idea that they seeded life on Earth and then, for some reason, decided to exterminate us, suggests a plan that spans millennia. This isn't something that a species with a short lifespan or limited intelligence would be capable of. They think on cosmic scales, in terms of geological eras and the evolution of civilizations. That's bizarre, but also fascinating. It's as if they were playing a chess game with the universe, and we, honestly, are just pawns on that board. The mind of engineers is a labyrinth of knowledge and intentions that we're still far from unraveling. And that, for me, is what makes them so intriguing. When we look at engineers, it's impossible not to be impressed by what they've done. Honestly, their feats are so grand that they border on the divine. The most impactful, in my opinion, is the creation of humanity. The idea that a sacrificial engineer, in an act of self-sacrifice, disintegrated his own body to seed life on Earth is something that makes you rethink your entire existence. It's bizarre, but if it's true, we're literally children of the stars, with the DNA of an alien race running in our veins. That's both creepy and amazing at the same time, isn't it? Besides creating us, they're masters at terraforming. Transforming inhospitable planets into habitable paradises isn't for just anyone. Think about the amount of energy, knowledge, and technology needed to alter the atmosphere, geology, and ecology of an entire world. It's as if they had the power of a god to shape nature itself. This is a feat that puts us in perspective, showing how small we are compared to their power. And what about the creation and manipulation of the black goo? This substance is living proof of their mastery over life and death. They use it to create, destroy, and evolve. The ability to develop such a potent and versatile biological weapon is a testimony to their intelligence and, at the same time, their cruelty. It's as if they had the key to the genetic code of the universe and used it as they pleased. That's bizarre, but also fascinating, because it shows us the unlimited potential of genetic engineering. Another notable feat is the asterisk construction of super-advanced spaceships. The juggernauts and derelicts aren't just means of transportation, they're true works of art, of engineering. The ability to travel vast interstellar distances with stasis technology and navigation systems that far surpass ours is something that makes us dream. It's as if they had mastered the laws of physics in a way that we're still trying to understand. And the organic design of these ships, which resembles the biology of xenomorphs, is a detail that gives me chills. Honestly, the connection between their technology and biology is something that transcends our understanding. And the interaction with xenomorphs, there are indications that they studied xenomorphs and even cultivated them. This is an extraordinary feat, because xenomorphs are the perfect creature, the ultimate killing machine. The idea that engineers not only found them, but tried to control them or use them, is a testimony to their audacity and, perhaps, their arrogance. It's an extremely risky attitude, and they ended up harming themselves, as we saw on Planet 4. But the attempt itself is already a feat, because it shows that they don't even fear the deadliest creatures in the universe. Finally, their longevity and resilience are feats in themselves. While some suggest they live 150 years, I honestly think they're much more long-lived, perhaps even immortal in a practical sense. The ability to survive catastrophic events, to regenerate, and to maintain a civilization for millennia, even with adversities, is something that makes us question the limits of life. It's as if they had found the fountain of youth, or something even more advanced. That's bizarre. But with what we've already seen of them, I wouldn't be surprised. They are, in fact, a race of extraordinary feats, who shape the alien universe in ways that we're still beginning to understand. And that, my friends, is what makes them so fascinating and terrifying at the same time. We've reached the end of our journey through the mysteries of engineers, and, honestly, with each new discovery, more questions arise. They are the architects of life, the seeders of worlds, but also the ruthless destroyers. The duality of their nature is what makes them so intriguing and, at the same time, so terrifying. They gave us life, but they also seem to want to take it, and this contradiction is at the heart of the fascination they exert over us. Are they immortal? Perhaps not in the literal sense, but their influence and legacy certainly are. Their strength is incalculable, their abilities are divine, and their feats have shaped the alien universe in ways that we're still unraveling. They are proof that knowledge and power, when not accompanied by wisdom and empathy, can lead to destruction. But what do you think? After everything we've explored, has your opinion about the fight against the Predator changed? Do you still see engineers as benevolent gods, or as the true monsters behind the curtain? Leave your opinion in the comments below. And if you like this deep analysis and want more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next investigations into the mysteries of the universe. Your participation is fundamental for us to continue unraveling these secrets together.